Welcome back to our idiom series. In each episode, we learn one useful English idiom, look at examples in context, and finish with a Cambridge-style challenge. So far, we've looked at put it down to experience and give someone food for thought. And today, we're going to look at an idiom, connected to news, rumors, and information. Today's idiom is, hear it through the grapevine. Say it with me. Hear it through the grapevine. One more time. Hear it through the grapevine. Imagine that someone knows some news. They tell another person. That person tells someone else. Then someone else tells you. You didn't hear the news directly from the original source. You heard it through a chain of people. That's the idea behind the grapevine. To hear something through the grapevine means to hear news from someone who heard it from someone else. In other words, not directly but indirectly. The information has traveled from person to person. For example, I heard through the grapevine that John is leaving the company. What does this mean? It means I didn't hear the news directly from John. Maybe a colleague told me. And maybe that colleague heard it from another colleague. So I heard it through the grapevine. This is the most important idea to remember. If John is leaving the company and John tells me himself, I can say, John told me he's leaving. But if I hear the information from other people, I can say, I heard through the grapevine that John is leaving. So the expression emphasizes that the information came to you indirectly. A very common structure is, I heard through the grapevine that, for example, I heard through the grapevine that Sarah got promoted, or we heard through the grapevine that the company is moving. Notice the word that. It's very common to use, I heard through the grapevine that. You may hear both, through the grapevine and on the grapevine. Both are used. For this series, the expression we'll focus on is, hear it through the grapevine. So remember this as your main version. There's another useful idea here. Because you heard the information indirectly, you may not know whether it's completely reliable. That's why this expression often appears with questions such as, is that true? Have you heard anything? Do you know if it's true? So if someone says, I heard through the grapevine that he's getting married, they may simply be passing on information they've heard. They're not necessarily saying, I know this is definitely true. Look at this natural use. Person A says, have you heard that Sarah is moving to London? Person B asks, no, how did you hear that? Person A replies, I heard it through the grapevine. Then B says, oh, so you don't know if it's confirmed. And A confirms, no, not yet. This is a very natural use of the idiom. Person A has heard the information indirectly, but doesn't have confirmation from the original source. In a Cambridge exam, don't get distracted by the word grapevine. The question isn't about grapes or plants. Focus on the meaning. The information has been passed from person to person. Now for a Cambridge challenge. Tom says, I heard through the grapevine that our manager is going to leave the company. What does Tom mean? A. His manager told him directly. B. He read an official announcement. C. He heard the information from other people. D. He saw his manager leaving the building. Pause the video and choose your answer. The correct answer is C. Tom didn't hear the news directly from his manager. He heard it from other people, so he heard it through the grapevine. One more. Choose the correct expression. I bet that our teacher is leaving the school. A. Heard through the grapevine. B. Heard through the grape. C. Heard by the grapevine. D. Heard in the grapevine. Pause and choose your answer. Exactly, the answer is A. Remember, hear through the grapevine, not through the grapes, by the grapevine, or in the grapevine. So, let's review. If you hear something through the grapevine, you didn't hear it directly from the person involved. You heard it from someone who heard it from someone else. Information travels from person to person. That's the grapevine. And here's your final challenge. Which word completes the sentence? I heard through the grapevine, Dasham. Sarah got a new job. A. What? B. That. Or C. Which? Pause. Exactly. I heard through the grapevine that Sarah got a new job. A very useful pattern to remember is, I heard through the grapevine that. Use this when you're talking about information you've heard indirectly. That's it for episode 3 of our Idioms series. Today's expression was, hear it through the grapevine. It means to hear information indirectly from other people. And remember, did you hear it directly? No? Then you heard it through the grapevine. Keep learning, keep noticing idioms, and keep using them. See you in episode 4.